Welcome to the third block of the speed and agility component of the advanced program for your athletic development. We're going to talk today about the linear mechanics that we've always touched upon in this unit and integrate those a little bit with the speed work. Now the speed work in this phase or this unit is at 75%. So we don't want to go any more yet. We want to kind of maintain that level of speed throughout this phase to ensure that we're prepared for future phases. So some of the mechanics you've done already, some of them may be a little bit new, and as I always say with these are very coordinated exercises that need practice. So we're going to practice them now with some of the speed work. So what we set up here is a 10-meter track whereby you're going to do your linear mechanics, and then after that you're going to open up into a 30-meter track. Now it's a little bit false in here, the distances may not be exactly right, but the principle is the same. So set up somewhere outside at home or just in a local park or somewhere where you can get to within your 5k, 10 meters and then 30 meters is what we're looking for here. So the first thing we're going to do is our A-skip mechanics. So again, all the principles of the A-skip mechanics need to be addressed. So it's the hand coming up to the lip and then passes the hip, but also breaks at the elbow. And then also when your knee's coming up, your toe is also up. So the foot is up and it's prepared for the floor. And once it hits the floor, it's the balls of the feet is the contact, pushing down as much force into the floor. The hand drive becomes very important because that allows us to generate more force. The more force we can get into the floor, in essence, we're going to get more speed. So let's practice. Our first one is our A skips. So Annie's going to demonstrate. Off you go over 10 meters for our A skips, and then she's going to open up into the 30 meters at 75%. So again, 75% is just a 3/4 pace. So we're going to open up. Now what I would say is that ensure before we start doing all these things that you've done your stability and mobility and make sure you're well warmed up for this. But this is how we kind of start integrating our linear mechanics into something a bit more functional. The next one is our lateral A skips. So we've done these before, but we're practicing them again now into the speed work. So balls of your feet, toes up, hands, lips and hips, but breaking at the elbow as you get to the end. So make sure it's a 75% run and then slowing down gradually, walk yourself back in for your rest. The next one we're going to go into is a B skip. A B skip is that cyclic action coming through. Balls of the feet again is the contact on the floor, and you're scraping the floor away as you go through that cyclic action. Off we go. Try and get the hands in here. A little bit harder to get the hands right here, but you're trying to do the same thing again, and then open up into that 75% of a run. Slow down gradually, walk your way back in, and then on to the next one. So the next one we're going to do bounding. This time the same bounding as we did in the last block, but we're looking for as much horizontal displacement as possible. So Ronan's going to show us here what I'm looking for. Accelerating out and then open up into 75%. What's important here, and I said this before about these type of bounds, is that when your foot hits the floor, there's sort of under or a little bit maybe in front of your center of mass. We don't want it too far in front whereby you're slowing down completely and have to drag yourself over the line. Just make sure that foot contact is under the center of mass as you start to push off. Okay, so that's that one. Now we're going to go into our ankling. So the first one on the ankling is a low ankle. Off we go, Annie. So over the ankle. So those mechanics over the ankle. Good contact with the floor and then open up into that 75% again. Slow down gradually. The last one, no, it's not the last one. It's the next ankling is into your high knee one. So this time it was over. The last time it was over the ankle. This time it's over the knee as you cycle around. So Ronan's going to demonstrate. And open up. Good. So that's our 6th repetition. We got 2 more repetitions. We're doing 3 sets of 8 here on this one. Again, never going quicker than 75%. Build your way up to 75% if you feel like you need to. The next one is a straight line run. So you keep your body as vertical as possible, as straight as possible. You're going to hit the floor with the balls of your feet and start accelerating out. So you hit the balls of your feet, start accelerating out, driving your hands also, and then open up into that 75%. Good, balls of your feet and then open up. Very good. And the last one is bounding. So the last one is a bounding, but this time it's bounding like we did on the first block, is vertical. So we're trying to get up as high as we possibly can on each one. This is the last repetition. So hit the floor as you land, toes up as well. Important here is a lot of the same principles, keep applying, and then open up. Obviously, you'll have a bit of a longer runway to do these, but just for the purpose of the video, I've kind of kept it a bit shorter than 10 meters, but that'll be a bit longer. You get more repetitions in it and then transition into that opening up the strides. Okay, so there you've got kind of two components. You've got your linear mechanics, and then you've got your speed work that as quick as you want to go, but you're going to add the volume to it. So take a rest of about 90 seconds and repeat it for a second time. Take your 90 seconds to maybe 2 minutes if you need it into the last one. So three sets of 8 repetitions of your runs, and that's a decent volume now you start to get into it, and we'll start increasing the intensity as you get used to this type of volume. Okay, like all these speed and agility component, we have that sort of initial phase, and then now we've integrated it into the speed, but then we like to go into and transition into our jumping mechanics. And our jumping mechanics are a big bridge between the exercise that we do in the gym, but then also the speed work that we want to see on the field. And it's a nice bridge of gaps. So if we can master the jump mechanics and the mechanics that are involved in this, they're very much of an extremely transferable skill to your sport. So we're going to challenge you. We challenged you the last time in the last block, but this is even a bit more of a challenge. So we're staying on one leg. And I always like to talk about, because it's a multi-directional sport, all the different planes of motion. So we're going to go forward, left, and then rotate on the same leg. Okay, so we're going to do 4 different jumps. So the first one is forward, lateral, and then rotate. Perfect. Now I want you to challenge yourself in these jumps. If you feel like you're competent in these jumps, then start doing them a bit faster and try and minimize the contact on the floor on these jumps. Okay, so jump forward, jump to my left or right, and then rotating again. Okay, so you want to absorb as much of that force as quickly as possible and generate the force to get you to the next plane of motion, if you like. So the next one now, so that's 2. Next one now is we start with a lateral shift. So we do a lateral jump, then to forward, then to rotate. Perfect. And the last one then, we go lateral, forward, and rotation again. Yeah, good. So the amount of forces going through the body here are very, very similar in ways to what you're going to find in the sport. And you're on single leg. But the only difference is a lot of this is now predetermined. So there's a few contextual environmental situations we've taken out of it to try and drive adaptation at the lowest level. But that doesn't mean that this is an easy exercise. This is quite demanding and tough on the body. We want you to do 3 sets. So Ronan's going to do the second set now. So the same thing again, just to go through it. Try and minimize that contact on the floor. So forward to lateral to rotational. Good. And then relax, get your breather. Same thing on the second one. So we go forward, but this time the other way. And then rotate. Perfect. And then sort of stick that. If I didn't mention before, you got to stick that last landing. Okay, so the last 2 now. We go side on, forward, and rotate. Very good. So that forward, you can see some athletes are predisposed to different sort of planes of motion. Like Ronan's very good on the frontal, on the sagittal plane. That's the forward and back plane, but needs to work more on the rotational planes. And you might be same at home. So make sure you are trying to do as much as you can in the weaknesses, because they'll all add up to benefit your sport. Okay, take your breather again, 90 seconds to 2 minutes perhaps, and then do the same thing again, the same rotation, if you like, of exercises. That's important. Then I think there'll be a huge transfer once you master this skill about the ability to absorb and generate forces on a single leg in all 3 planes of motion. You're very close to getting benefit to your sport, which I'm sure you're looking forward to getting back to. So continue with these exercises. Important that we master these type of exercises. Okay, the last thing we're going to do is our change of direction. Now, with this one, I'm going to start setting up. So set it up similar to at home. What I want to do is about 7 meters is probably the optimal for here in a change of direction. So you stand about 7 meters, drop your cone where you start with. Then you want to walk out 7 meters. Okay, for the purpose of this, it's not quite 7, but I'll just go through it. It's around 4 to 5, and then we walk out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We do it at about a 45-degree angle, you can see here. And now I'm doing it at a 90-degree angle. So it's from that center cone. So again, 90-degree angle from here, and then 45-degree angle here. Okay. So try and set up something like this at home. If you can, make sure they're 7 meters. So I said 7 out, 7 across, and 7 diagonals. There's about the average time you have to maybe do a sprint for the 7 meter, or the average distances. So make it kind of close to your sport if you can with 7 meters. Right, so we're going to set up here to go through the mechanics. You want to go first? So with this acceleration drill, we always want to and it's deceleration also. It's the components of change of direction, because there's no agility component because it's not reactive. So you set up like we were before in a nice jump position. I can move left, right, I can jump up. The same applies on the drop step, all those same things like before. Get into a good forward lean and then change direction. For now, we're doing 45-degree angle. So if you want to make a cut to 45 degrees, so accelerate straight out, then cut. Right, good. Now, we did this for the purpose of demonstration that sometimes the utility of a cone can actually be detrimental to the movement. So I really want to take away this, because what I want to do is encourage good movement mechanics. Even though Ronan did that quite well, to be fair, sometimes the mechanics are putting something as too much of a distinct reference can influence negatively on the mechanics of the movement. What we're really looking for, and you'll get it yourselves because the distances will be real, is when I accelerate out from a good standing position and I drop step and forward lean, I want to think about it as a brake and accelerator. So my left foot is the big brake, so that's in front of my center mass, and then the one here is outside my center mass to accelerate me in that direction I want to go. Imagine it's like a train on tracks. I'm going all this way and everything's driving me this way. I need to slow it down first, slow down the train, then to drive me in that direction that I need to go in. Now, because it's a 45-degree angle, we don't need to decelerate hugely. That will become more apparent when we go left or right, okay? At 90 degrees. But at 45 degrees, you have to slow down a little bit to generate the force off center. Really good athletes can maybe do it without decelerating, just plant the foot. But definitely what I'm looking for here is a bit of a deceleration, because that's what we're trying to encourage, into a plant of the right foot. So you don't have to slow down to stop. You just have to slow down a little bit then to drive that right foot to accelerate me over here. So we'll just try the other side, whoever wants to go. So we've gone our right, now we're going to go left. So again, decelerate with that right foot this time and sprint off and accelerate with the left. Yeah, good. Good. Again, so in here, it's very short distances to really replicate the quality of the movement we want to see, because they become more real when the forces become bigger. So in a park or a garden, whatever you have in front of you, within the restrictions that you have to apply to, make sure you kind of set up something like this. Now we're going to go left and right. So now we're going to come in. We're going to have to decelerate a little bit more on our left foot. Now accelerate on our right foot, because we're going a proper 90-degree angle. Okay. So Ronan, we do the same thing. So come up, decelerate with one leg, and accelerate with the other. That's good. And we're decelerating on the cones. If I hadn't mentioned before, on the 45 degrees, you've decelerated, like we were practicing before. Decelerate in a nice position, whereby I feel I can jump from, where I feel like the opponent is showing one way, and not just being neutral, and he can go left or right. Show him one way, even though there's no one there, but practice the right mechanics. So Annie, if you want to go the other side, same thing again. Set up in a nice position. Get up in an athletic position, drive that back foot, drive that drop step into a nice change of direction, and decelerate on that cone, so be in a good position. So there are the 4 directions we want you to practice. We're going to challenge you on different directions, turning over your left and right shoulder, turning 180 degrees, multiple changes of direction. But if you can get the components, so if you can get good athletic position, good drop step, good deceleration mechanics, good acceleration mechanics, and then finally good deceleration mechanics in a good position with the feet wide, showing one way, ready to jump, you're developing the components to layer up into more specific, more football or hurling specific emotions. But if you can get the principles applied here, it's going to transfer massively to your sport. What I want you to do is this time 5 times, okay? So you got 4 repetitions 5 times for you advanced athletes, okay? So I really want you to take your rest, take your time, and as I was saying, with the mechanics that we're looking for, if you need to slow it down, whereby you're actually walking through the movement, you're decelerating, you're getting the hips nice and low, then you're planting your foot and accelerating forward, and you're getting the mechanics right, you're doing it in a slow and maybe contrived way initially, that's far better than trying to do it fast and doing it all awkwardly and poorly. So just break it down with the speed, slower the speed, practice the movement, and in time it'll become more refined and better for you in the long run. So that's the block 3 of your speed and agility. I hope you enjoyed it. Stick with us, there's many more of these things to come, but these are the foundations that you need to learn in order for you to benefit from your sport. Hope you enjoyed it, and see you again soon.